Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to go through my bets for the final three games of the round one of the NRL. So the games we're looking at are the Eels versus Bulldogs, Titans versus Dragons, and the Dolphins versus Cowboys on Sunday afternoon. Firstly, with the Eels Bulldogs game. So last time these two sides met was round 15 last year. They had two meetings last year. The Eels won the leaders meeting 34-12. They started $1.48 and a 6.5 point favorite for that game, and the total was 43.5. So one of the first things I look at is what have they done with the odds compared to last time the sides met. The line is basically the same. It's moved up 1 point from the 6.5 last time. And the total has dropped from 43.5 last time they met to 40.5 this time around. Now, I think this is going to be due to the fact that 14 of the past 17 meetings between these two sides has gone under the total points line. The average total for all those games that has been set was 40.3. So they've pretty much hit that bang on. So even though like a lot of these sides matchups have gone under, I'm just going to stay away from the total, but that's a very, very strong trend. Some of the other betting trends that stand out between these two sides are the home teams have covered 4 of the past 5 head-to-head. The Eels have covered 5 of the past 6 in this matchup. They've won the past 6 by 22 or more points. So the Eels have a really, really good record against the Bulldogs. In those 6 games, the Bulldogs failed to score more than 12 points, and the Eels have won 13 of the past 16 head-to-head. We can see here on the bet finders that really give us a good insight into the statistics of both of these sides, both in attack and defense. And we can see that the Bulldogs are bottom 2 side in almost every attack and defense statistic. And the Eels are, top 6 attacking side and kind of bottom 8 defensive side with a few areas to improve. Pretty confident the Eels should be winning this game. Over the past few seasons, they have been really good starters to the seasons, so I'm expecting them to show up and perform. They get a pretty easy matchup to start the season. Bulldogs obviously got some new recruits coming in, but I feel like it's going to take time for those players to gel, and still don't think they're going to be quite up to it this season when you look at their spine. So this is a really winnable game for Parramatta. The bet I'm going with in this game is the Eels to lead at halftime and full time. So fairly confident they're going to win the game. The other thing that's contributing to this bet is when we look at the power rankings here, first half points. The Eels are ranked 6th here, averaging 12.5. The Bulldogs, second worst attack in the first half, only averaging 8.7 points. Then defensively, the Bulldogs are the worst first half team, averaging 16.3 points conceded compared to the Eels only at 12.2. So not that much better, but there's still a fairly big discrepancy between the two sides. So based on the Eels, good starters, they are clearly the better team in every area. I think they can be leading this game at halftime and then go on to win it. The line at -7.5. If it was under the converted try, like -5.5, then I'd probably slightly lean towards that direction, but there is that tendency of NRL games to be sort of kept close, especially with teams scoring late tries. So just don't want to be burnt by that. They should take care of the Bulldogs in round 1. Next game, the Titans versus Dragons. The odds for this game, Gold Coast are a 5.5 point favorite, over under at 43.5. Last time they met, was in round 6 at this venue. Titans won 20 points to 18, and the Dragons were a 1.5 point favorite for that game. The total was set at 47.5. So this is another matchup. Historically, it's gone under the total. 6 of the past 8 have gone under. The average line has been 45.5. So they've really dropped that number down. It's dropped 4 points from their last meeting. So bookies are trying to lean this one towards getting it back over. The home teams covered the past 4 head-to-head, and Titans have covered 4 of the past 6 against the Dragons. Looking at the matchup, Dragons expected to be a bottom 4, maybe even bottom 2 side this season, struggling both in attack and defense and lowly rated in a lot of key areas. The only area that they're, somewhat ranked highly at is limiting run meters and post-contact meters here for the opposition. So as long as the Titans can get field position and meters up the field, which they are fairly good in meters per play, I think they can do that and control the field position, and then their playmakers should be able to capitalize on that. So my bet for this matchup is I'm going to take the Titans minus 5.5 at $1.91. Bet 365. Most bookies have it set at the 5.5. So Titans just need to win this game by 6 or more points, which I think they should be able to do if they're like, this year is the best lineup they've had going into pretty much any season. So they should be able to take care of a very easy matchup in the opening round. And then the final game on Sunday afternoon, the Dolphins take on the North Queensland Cowboys. These two sides split their meetings last season. Firstly, in round 6, the Cowboys, that was in North Queensland, the Dolphins won 32-22. That game went over the 42.5 total. Cowboys started $1.22 in that matchup and were at 11.5 point favorites. Then later on in the season, when they met at Suncorp in round 26, the Cowboys won 34-10 and were an 8.5 point favorite, so $1.37, and they set the total at 48.5 for that matchup. So they brought this number back down to 42.5, expecting a lower scoring game earlier on in the season. Both their matchups last year would have gone over this 42.5 total. But I'm going a slightly different direction with my bet for this game. I think when we look at the stats here, there really isn't that much between these two sides, both in attack and defense. And I think the Cowboys are a little bit of an overrated team, especially on the road. They don't really travel that well. And they're obviously facing a Dolphins side who kind of fell apart in the second half of last season due to injuries, but they have a good lineup this year and well-coached side, so they should be able to be very competitive here against the Cowboys side, which, has some good players throughout their lineup, but overall as a team, I don't think they're that good. They're going to win games up in North Queensland, of course, but are vulnerable on the road, as we've seen over previous seasons. The Cowboys are also a team that have been slow starters. Like, they've sometimes won their opening game, but, last year they lost 5 of their opening 7 games. In 2022, they lost 3 of their first 5. 2021 lost their first 4. 2020, they barely won a game all season that year. 2019, they lost 4 of their first 5. 2018 lost 5 of their first 6 games. So over the past 5-6 years, they've really struggled to get their season going and off the ground. So this is a great opportunity, Dolphins at home, to get a win early on in the season and boost their confidence. There's a lot of companies have it set at plus 5.5 or minus 5.5, but play up have the Dolphins plus 6.5 at $1.85. So it's definitely worthwhile getting that extra point. Instead of taking plus 5.5, get them at plus 6.5. So if they lose by a converted try, you still win the bet and don't lose. So that is the third place. So to quickly recap the 3 bets, we're going with the Eels halftime, full-time against the Bulldogs. Then the Titans minus 5.5 against the Dragons. And then at play up, the Dolphins plus 6.5 against the Cowboys on Sunday afternoon. If you're following along, good luck. Those are my 3 main bets for those games. Posted other videos with my thoughts and bets for the other matchups, so definitely check those out and make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be posting previews and giving out my bets all season long for a ton of NRL games, because I want you guys to make money betting on the NRL. And that's the reason why I developed these tools. Like what you're looking at here with the bet finders and these statistics, I started creating these in the 2014 season. So basically 10 years this year. So, and they've obviously developed, and this is just a small section of kind of what we're looking at here, just to give you an overview of the game. But it's all about having the right information, and most important information, to make your betting decisions and remove this guesswork that a lot of people do. So my goal this season and with sharing these videos is for you to be able to level up as an NRL bettor and start withdrawing profits from the betting companies.